What is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Rebecca, and today we are going to be doing one of my favorites, a Ruby Franke case update. It's going to be short, sweet, and to the point, hopefully. Um, she arrived at court December the 18th, 2023 to enter a plea agreement. So today I'm kind of going to be going over the plea agreement, explaining to you the charges that she was charged with, and just go over what it was for. A lot of people are not going over this, but Jody Hildebrandt also had a court date. I'll look it up and tell you all the information about that as well in this video. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get started with that. Hope you guys enjoy.
As you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away.
Alright, so I actually have the case pulled up. You can find the plea agreement online, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going over everything. I want to go ahead and start out by saying I'm not a lawyer. I don't claim to be a lawyer. All this is provided through the internet and YouTube. I am just showing you what I have found while doing my research. Feel free to do your own fact checking and your own research. So Ruby Franke has received 4 of the 6 charges. All 4 of the charges are identical. They are the same. They are aggravated child abuse. It is a second-degree felony, and it carries a 1 to 15 years in the Utah State Prison and a fine in the amount of $10,000 plus a 90% surcharge plus a $53 court security fee.
Good morning. Welcome to District Court. We're here in the matter of State of Utah versus Franke, case number 231501764. Mr. Winward is here representing Ms. Franke. Let's bring her out. And Mr. Clark and Mr. Sham are here representing the State of Utah. Ms. Franke is now here. Mr. Winward, we are scheduled for a waiver hearing. Is there going to be a waiver today?
There will, plus a plea agreement, Your Honor.
All right.
I'll ask the bailiff to hand you what has been executed.
All right. Mr. Winward, you have discussed with Ms. Franke a preliminary hearing, what's involved in a preliminary hearing. She understands she has a right to a preliminary hearing on all of the charges in the case. She understands what the charges are, and she's prepared to waive a preliminary hearing in the case on all charges.
She is, and that is contained in this agreement on page 7 as well.
Very good. All right, I've been handed a plea agreement, and it appears to be signed by Ms. Franke. Ms. Franke, did you sign this agreement?
Yes,
And you did that today? When did you sign it?
on the 18th,
Okay. You've read it carefully?
every word.
Your signature represents to the court that you've read it carefully, that you understand what you've read, and that you agree to all of the terms. Is that all accurate?
Yes,
You've had sufficient time to ask questions of your counsel, to go over any questions you have. You're ready to go forward.
yes,
You don't need any more time.
I'm ready.
Ms. Franke, is anyone pressuring you to enter into this agreement?
No,
Anyone promising you anything I haven't been told about?
no,
Anything that's not in the written plea agreement?
no,
Are you under the influence of alcohol or drugs today?
no,
Is there anything today that could in any way interfere with your ability to understand the agreement, its consequences, anything?
no,
No physical condition, no medication, nothing?
no,
Any further record, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Winward, we ready to proceed?
We are ready to proceed.
All right, then. Ms. Franke, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
And to count 6, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
With my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children, guilty.
There is a factual basis set forth in the agreement that is a stipulated factual basis, counsel.
That's correct, Your Honor. That is correct, Judge Walton.
The court finds that the factual basis is sufficient. All of the terms of the agreement are stipulated, including that the court obtain a pre-sentence investigation report, correct?
Correct.
There won't be any argument about whether prison is the appropriate sentence, and there's an agreement about the 4 counts running consecutive.
That is correct.
All right. The court finds then that Ms. Franke's pleas are made knowingly and voluntarily. The court therefore accepts and enters those pleas. The court orders the preparation of a pre-sentence investigation report to be prepared by AP&P and the Department of Corrections. Counsel, what about sentencing on February 20th? I think, do you and your client agree to waive time, counsel?
We do agree to waive time, Your Honor.
February 20th, I believe, is a Tuesday. Is that right? – 10 a.m.?
That works for us, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else for today?
Your Honor, maybe, I've heard the court say this several times in a different fashion. We are not binding the court to any specific sentence, and the court retains its right to sentence as it sees fit. I just mentioned that this is not a Rule 11 plea, but although it's a stipulated statement of defendant.
Counsel approach.
What's up, everybody? Rebecca here. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us grow the channel, and we greatly appreciate it. Love you. Bye. I want to go over this Rule 11 that the lawyer just talked about. It says Rule 11 was designed to highlight the importance of constitutional rights by requiring the judge in district court to discuss these rights with the defendant before accepting his, or in this case, her plea. In other words, Rule 11 was created to help the defendant understand the basic consequences of the decision to plead guilty. All right, so I don't know if you're like me, but that did not describe it enough for me to understand it. So I went ahead and did just a little bit of more research. Whenever I did my research, I found out that Rule 11 is pretty much an agreement between both parties that they've agreed on everything, and whatever the judge rules on, that they've agreed on understanding that that is what will be done, and that's final. So pretty much this lawyer for Ruby Franke is saying that they don't completely agree on everything, and whatever the judge rules, more than likely they may or may not have an issue with the ruling. So this next part is part of Ruby Franke's plea agreement. She had to pretty much admit to the things that she did and that she was aware of. I'm just going to go ahead and give a heads up. There are some initials in there in place of the children's name. That's just for the children's protection. The names are already out there, unfortunately, but I'm going to read it exactly as it is on the piece of paper, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. So, yeah. Count 1. The defendant's actions involved the physical torture of RF. Initially, RF was forced to do physical tasks for hours and days at a time. These included wall sits, carrying boxes full of books up and down stairs, and working outside. Eventually, RF was forced to do outside labor without any shoes and in the summer heat. He was forced to stand in the direct sunlight for several days. He was forced to remain outside at all hours of the day and night for extended periods of time. These actions resulted in repeated and serious sunburn with blisters and, yeah, y'all are going to murder me in the comment section for this one, slouting. Yeah, that's definitely not how you say it, but yeah, that's how we're going to say it today. RF was denied adequate water for several of the days he was required to remain in the summer heat. He was punished when he secretly consumed water. He was denied sufficient food, and when given food, he was given very plain meals. For example, rice and chicken. While others in the house ate regular and more flavorful meals. He was isolated from other people and denied all forms of entertainment, including books, notebooks, and electronics. In addition, after RF attempted to run away in July, his hands and feet were regularly bound. Binding included being tied to the defendant and to weights. Many times, the binding included using two sets of handcuffs, one on RF's wrist and one on his ankles. At times, RF was lying on his stomach. Ropes were used to tie the two sets of handcuffs together so that his arms and lower legs were lifted off the ground. The binding resulted in injuries to RF wrists and ankles, where the handcuffs cut through the skin and damaged the muscle/tissue. These injuries were treated with homeopathic remedies and covered with duct tape. Then the binding were placed on top of the duct tape. Specific instances of abuse committed by the defendant include kicking RF while wearing boots, holding his head under water, and cutting off oxygen by placing her hands over his mouth and nose. The action described above caused severe emotional harm to RF due to the fact that they began in May and escalated throughout the summer months. Additionally, the defendant and another adult regularly sought to indoctrinate RF and convince him that he was evil and possessed, and that he needed to willingly be obedient to avoid punishment, and that the punishments were necessary to repent. He was also told that everything was being done to him were acts of love. The defendant's actions also caused severe emotional harm to EF. Other than binding and specific instances of abuse RF was subjected to, EF was subjected to the same treatment as her brother. She was isolated and forced to do physical tasks, remaining outside, and denied food and water. She was also repeatedly told that she was evil and possessed. The punishments were necessary for her to be obedient and to repent, and these things were being done to her in order to help her. EF was convinced that she was evil and needed to go through these things in order to repent. The defendant's actions caused 2 or more physical injuries to FE. She was forced to do work outside in the heat barefoot. She was also forced to run barefoot on dirt roads for an extended period of time. EF's feet were repeatedly injured by, and she was repeatedly sunburnt. When examined on August 30th, these wounds were apparently by scabs, blisters, and sloughing skin. So a lot of you are watching on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, you can see there is more writing at the bottom of this last screen. That is pretty much just her saying that, yes, this is factual, this is really what happened, stuff like that. So this next part is going to be a short little update on Jodi Hildebrandt. December 27th, 2023, she entered her plea agreement. January 24th, 2024, her lawyer asked if the hearing could be a closed hearing so that no media would be there. She entered in a plea agreement that included 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. 2 of the second-degree felony child abuse charges were dropped as part of the plea agreement. A lot of people are not talking about this, but I really thought it was kind of interesting. Right now, Jodi Hildebrandt had tried to sell her home, which was worth $5.3 million. And the judge actually told her no, she cannot sell it. She has to wait until after sentencing next month before she can sell her home. Thought that was kind of interesting. Want to throw that out there. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. I love you guys. Y'all are the best. Bye.